We are in John chapter 11. And if only I had a rock. I don't think we're going to get through the whole story that we're starting today, but we're going to get through a good chunk of it. You've heard it before. I think they even teach it in Sunday school in a very slender version. Now, a certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary, and her sister Martha. Who knows what, because Lazarus is the Greek rendering of the Hebrew name. Who knows what the Hebrew name was, Brother Sam? Do you know? I'm putting you on the spot for a reason that you're going to laugh about in a minute.
It's Eliezer.
Eliezer. What's it say on that sign on that tree by the house you're getting?
Oh,
Oh, it says Ebenezer. Oh, I thought it said Eliezer. Ah. Well, joke's on me. That's why you're like, what are you talking about? I don't know what Ebenezer means. I should probably look that up.
It does have a name. It is something like
Help or something.
But we're not talking about Ebenezer. What does Eliezer mean? Does anybody know? El is my help, or God helps. And that's what Joe wants to name his next son, right?
Yeah.
He's going to name his next son Eliezer, and they're going to call him Laser Fox. I think that's cool. So does he, evidently. So, God is my help, El is my help, Eliezer, transmorgified or whatever into Greek Lazarus. So Lazarus of Bethany is sick. And this word that they use in the Greek for sick means he's real sick. He's not sniffling cold. He's like sick. It's not looking good for the home team sick. Verse 2. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord, the Master, Yeshua, with ointment, wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore, his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. So they send a word, and I looked up on this. Yeshua is about 25 miles away from where Lazarus is. And so they send word via messenger to him, hey, Lazarus is sick. Now the word here used for sick is, he's sick and going down. He's dying. He's fixing to die. He's your friend. We're your friends. He's fixing to die. Next verse says, when Jesus heard that, so boom, that's the end of their message, right? Your friend, Lazarus, is sick. They do not say, please come help him. Why do you think they don't say, please come help him? Please come heal him. Please come take care of him. Because they think that's enough. Hey, he's your really good friend. We're your really good friends. He's our brother. We're sending you word he's sick. We know you'll do what's right. It's like if Justin called up on the phone and said, man, I am sick. Or Amanda calls for Brother Travis, since I'm looking at him, and says, hey, Travis is really sick right now. That's all it needs to be said. It's like, all right, do you want me to come over? Do you want me to get some brothers together? We'll come anoint you with oil or something. And so they figured they don't have to say anything else. So let's see what happens. When Yeshua heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death. But we just read, both words used there are, it's a sickness unto death, right? So it's like, he's sick and he's dying. And then Jesus gets the word from the messenger and he goes, nah, this sickness isn't unto death. But for the glory of God, for the glory of Elohim, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Let me look at something here. So he says it's not for that. Right. It's not unto death. Why does he say it's not unto death? Because everybody else thinks he's dying. And in fact, we know, because y'all have heard the story before, right? Lazarus dies. But he says not unto death because Yeshua knows what's going to happen. He's omniscient, right? He knows what's going to happen. He can see the end from the beginning. He can see the result from right now. And so he knows, don't worry, he's not really going to die. I'm going to save him, right? And so he says that. And then he says, he's not sick unto death, but he's sick for the reason for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now we know where this story's going, that he's going to raise Lazarus from the dead, right? And I think it's easy to think at this point that when Yeshua says that the Son of God, he's talking to himself, might be glorified thereby through his death, and now he's raised by Yeshua from the dead, and we're going to read that then glorifies Jesus, right? Is that what everybody kind of thinks that means? Because that's what I thought it meant till I started thinking about it more. Look at verse 53. Skip ahead. We won't get to 53 today, I don't think, but skip ahead to there now. That's what I was checking on here a second ago. Then from that day forth, because see the word, I'll skip ahead a little bit. The word of him raising Lazarus from the dead gets out. It gets back to the high priests of Pharisees and all that stuff. And in verse 53, then from that day forth, they took counsel together that they'd put him to death. And so see, they don't like the fact that Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And I realize I'm getting ahead, but it's not like this is a new story to people. And so they decide then they're going to put Jesus to death. And that's what Yeshua is talking about when he says that the Son of Man might be glorified. Because his true glory is that he died for us, that he died for our sins, and that he rose again. And so for that to happen, he has to be killed. And the reason he's killed, the final reason that they take action to go kill him, is because this is one miracle too many. We can't do this. And we'll get to that point next week or the week after. But that's what he means by glorified, that he's going to be glorified. Because, again, he knows what's coming. He can see it coming. And so that's what he means. Of course, people don't understand that. Now, Yeshua, verse 5, loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So John here is just making sure that everybody knows that Yeshua is not just blowing this off and, because he doesn't really care about that guy and he's going to kind of use him as a tool for his glory and for all this stuff. It's like, no, he loves him. He truly does love him. 6. And when he had heard, therefore, that he was sick unto death, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Like, yeah, he's sick. Don't worry. I'm going to hang out here. And people are kind of like, what's going on with him, man? He loves this guy, Lazarus. It's his friend. He's really, really sick, and he's just hanging out here. He does all these other miracles that we've read about to all these different people, and he's not going for his buddy. And then after that, he said to his disciples, all right, let's go to Judea again. That's where he is. That's where this place is. It's in Judea, where Lazarus is hanging out. And his disciples said to him, Master, the Jews of recently, sought to stone thee. And you're going back there again? They just tried to kill you. Matter of fact, just look back. You probably don't even have to turn a page to chapter 10, verse 31. Matter of fact, we'll start in 30 because it's kind of important. I was talking to Brother Sam about this the other day. Yeshua really ticks him off when he says, I and my Father are one. And that's the word echad. And they know exactly what he's saying. We are one, just like, Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh echad. Hear, O Israel, Yah is our God, Yah is one. And so he says, my Father and I are echad. And then verse 31, the Jews took up stones again to stone him. And Yeshua answered, he said, many good works have I shown you from my Father. For which of these works do you stone me? Remember that? Well, that was just the other day. And now they leave, right? He gets away. And then now he's saying, okay, let's go to Judea. And his disciples who love him, he's their teacher, he's their master. And they're like, hey, they just tried to kill you and you want to go back? Verse 9, and Yeshua answered. I love how he answers comments, how he answers questions. He's very rarely, Yeshua, direct, right? He always kind of, which is why I think people are always misunderstanding him. And listen to what he says. He doesn't say, yeah, I'm going back, I'm not afraid. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Let's go. No, he says instead, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbles not, because he sees the light of this world. And I'll just keep going. But if any man walk in the night, he stumbles because there is no light in him. Dude, you sure you want to go? Or they don't say dude. Master, you sure you want to go back there? They tried to stone you just a couple days ago. You must walk when it is light, and you will not stumble. And if you walk in the darkness, you will stumble. Rocks, them, you, what? What are you saying, right? I mean, think about how he's kind of answering that question. He's talking on two levels here when he's talking about light and darkness. The physical level, and whenever there's different levels in the Bible, they're all true. It doesn't mean that, well, I understand the deeper spiritual meaning, so we can throw away the lesser, more obvious physical reason. And a big one for that is 1 Timothy 5:8. And it says, anyone who prepares not, most especially for those of his own household, is worse than an infidel and has denied the faith. So if you don't provide, if you don't prepare for your household, you're a bad person. Okay, well, on the surface level of that, it means we got to provide for our people, right? And we got to take care and we got to do our job. We have to do what we're supposed to do. But there's a deeper meaning for that, and that's the spiritual level. As the heads of household, we've got to take a spiritual leadership role in our family. That doesn't mean that we don't have to take a physical role in our family. It just means there's this other deeper thing, spiritual. And so here, when he's talking about walking in the light, walking in the dark, the physical is true, light and darkness, but the biggest thing is the spiritual level of it. Spiritual light, spiritual darkness. Remember, we just read John 10:30-31. I and my Father are one, echad. And then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Who is the light of the world? Yeshua. Keep your finger here. Look at John chapter 8, verse 12. Then spake Yeshua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. I am the light of the world. If you walk in me, you're going to have light and not darkness. And then we flip back to where we are right here, and he says, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the light, he stumbles not, because he sees the light of this world. And if he walks in the night, which means the darkness, he stumbles because there's no light in him. And so if you take that and change those words, Jesus said, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in me, because he said, I am the light of this world. If anyone walks in me, he won't stumble, because he sees me. Right? The light of this world. He sees me, and if not, he's going to stumble. He's talking about spiritual walking and spiritual stumbling. And so Yeshua is the light of the world. But then when we looked at, because I got ahead of myself, when we look at 10:30, I and my Father are one, echad, and that's when they want to stone him, right? When he says that. Well, when we have Yeshua, when we truly believe in Yeshua, when we are truly following him, we are one with him. Therefore, one with the Father. No one comes unto the Father but by me, Yeshua said. So you got to go through him, but he is one with the Father. Once we're in that track, we are one with the Father. And if Yeshua is the light of the world, who's the light of the world? Go to Matthew chapter 5. We just heard Yeshua say he's the light of the world. Matthew chapter 5, we're going to start in verse 1. Just for context. I'm doing the Pastor Dow flip here. Not as well. All right, Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. Where does 5 start on here? Right there. And seeing the multitudes, he, Yeshua, went up into a mountain when he was set, and his disciples came to him. Are you all a disciple of Yeshua? Are you a disciple of Christ? Are you a student of what he's putting out? Yes, we all are, right? So we can put ourselves here. His disciples come to him. We consider ourselves disciples of him. So he opened his mouth and taught the disciples. So therefore he's teaching us, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see Elohim. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are y'all when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Y'all are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is therefore good for nothing but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. Do you see that? Now, we just read about the light of the world. We just read him saying, I am the light of the world. Here he is talking to his disciples saying, y'all are the light of the world. And then we get the city that is set up on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel. No, but on a candlestick, and it gives light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they can see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So in one place he says, I am the light of the world. When he's talking to his disciples, his followers, he says, y'all are the light of the world. And so you could look at that and go, well, what is it? Is he the light of the world or his disciples the light of the world? And the answer is yes. It's echad. We're one. We're one with him. We're one with the Father. Therefore, we are the light of the world. And then if you take that to what he just said in Matthew, okay, now that you're the light of the world, what are you supposed to do with that light? You're supposed to let that light shine. You're not going to stumble, but you're supposed to let that light shine so other people don't stumble also. So there's a whole lot going on there in this part of John when he says, y'all, I am the light of the world. When he says, I'll just read it so I don't mess it up. Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbles not because he sees the light of this world. Seeing the light of the world. And so, yes, Yeshua is the light of the world, and if anyone's walking in him, then they don't stumble. But we are the light of the world. I'm not saying if people walk in us, but I'm saying we can show the light so that people don't stumble. And that's part of our task of being evangelistic, my word. Taking the good news forth and explaining it to people and showing it to people so that they don't stumble. We have the light. We don't take that light and go, I get it. I understand we're supposed to keep Torah and love Jesus. I got it. And I'm just going to shut my doors and hide. No, we got to share that word with people. And different people have different ways of doing that and different skill sets, but we're all human and we all have human interactions with people and we all have our own different ways of communicating. He doesn't say how to share the word. You just got to share the word. And so that's a lesson right now. That light has to be shown. That light has to be seen. That light is Yeshua. It's in us, presumably, and we have to let that light shine too and not hide it. All right, so again, let's go back and look at this 9 and 10. Yeshua answered, so they said, hey, wait a minute, you want to go back there to where Lazarus is, but they just tried to stone you, man. So what's up with that? And he goes, hey, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbles not because he sees the light of the world. If a man walks in the night, he stumbles because there is no light in him. The reason they are asking him, are you sure you want to go back to Judah, is fear. They fear what's going to happen to him. And perhaps some of them by, connection, if they go with him, maybe them. If they're going to seize him and we're with them, they're going to seize us too. But I think just from the reading here that their fear is mostly for him, for the master. And they're like, man, they're going to kill you. Right? So they're worried. And so the reason they ask the question is fear. And then Yeshua answers, because remember how I said, why did he talk about 12 hours in the light in the day and all that? And Yeshua answers their fear with the 12-hour example. And walk while you have the light and don't walk in the darkness, you're going to fall down. And I think there's some lessons from the 12 hours. And the 12 hours is almost metaphorical, but not quite. That land is close to the equator. And so days are 12 hours long, like 6 to 6. And night comes fast, and it's 6 to 6, and then 6 to 6. So it's 12 hours is a day. And so the day, the light analogy. But there's 3 points. Number one, there's 12 hours in the day. Nothing can shorten our time. The time that we have is the time that we have, and nothing's going to shorten it. So whatever time you have, whatever time I have, whatever time you have, that's the time you have. You don't need to worry about what's coming down the pike. I'm going to get yelled at by somebody on YouTube for this. The skein of your life was woven a long time ago. Do not fear death. That's from the 13th Warrior, some kind of like Viking thing, right? They're like, hey, your fate is set, man. It's already set. You're going to live it. Well, in fact, Yah already knows how long you're going to physically live. He knows that at the beginning from the end. He knows. It is set. There's nothing we can do to extend our life, our physical life. It's decided. So don't worry about it. It is what it is. You could stay home in your trailer. No, I'll put a survivalist context on it. You could hide in your bunker and, I don't know, the air could run out or something. You're going to die when you're going to die. Or you could run outside and a tree could fall on you. I mean, it's going to happen. So nothing can shorten our time. And then the other thing about the 12 hours of the daytime and walk while there's still light, and he says in other words, walk while you still see me and act while you can still touch me and those kind of things, is there is enough time for everything that has to be done. Everything that needs to be done, you're going to have enough time for that. Now, here's the trick on that. Everything which must be done according to who? According to Yah. I think I know what I need to do. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do this, and Kate thinks I also need to do this, this, and this, right? And some of y'all think, and you need to do this, this, and this. But I have an idea of what I need to do. Hopefully, I'm operating in a way that is in conjunction with my Father's will, with what He wants me to do. Because I'm going to get done what He wants me to do as long as I seek His will and do it. So there is enough time to get done what He has put us here for. And that's kind of like a corollary. We're all here for a reason. You realize that, right? Nobody here is like, I don't matter. Everybody matters. These little children matter. There's a purpose for them being here. And I don't know what that purpose is. I'm not God. But there's a purpose for them being here. There's a purpose for you being here. And there's enough time for everything to happen. And so what we can do is we can go, it's going to be okay. If we trust in the Father, if we trust in Yeshua, if we trust in His timing for our lives, it's going to be okay. And we can have that calm in the storm of life that confronts us sometimes, because we all go through things that are just like, eh. Here's another thing, though. There's 12 hours of the day. If you walk in the day, you're not going to fall down. You're not going to stumble. If you walk in the night, you're going to fall down. That means day ends and night's coming, right? I mean, that's the cycle. It's the metaphor. But night is coming. And so we only have, metaphorically, 12 hours in the day. We only have the time that we have. And so while on the one hand, if we're doing the things Yah wants us to do, we're going to get done what He wants us to do. On the other hand, we only have the time we have. And so we have to be good stewards of our time. We need to not waste our time. And we should think about that. There's a matter of fact, I just did a video on this, so the Father must be touching me on this. There was a saying, and some people know it, I don't know it, I have a terrible head for it. There's only so many minutes in a day, and somebody gives a number. Whatever, 60 times 24 is, whatever that number is. There's that many minutes in a day. And so if you waste 3, then, you only have this many. And dun-dun-dun-dun. There's no need for us to waste any time. And resting is not wasting time, by the way. If Brother Sam and I were carrying railroad ties the other day. We carried like 12 of them, I think. And it was hot. And I think we took 2 breaks. Maybe 3. I don't know. We took a couple breaks. And it wasn't Sam saying take a break. It was this old geezer. And I'm like, hey, man, we got to go take a break. Because I need to drink some water and sit in the shade because my head is going like... That's not a waste of time when we're sitting there taking a break. But a waste of time would be if I went and did something else. I mean, I don't need to pick anything else. And I've been accused, whatever, for giving young men crap for playing video games all day. I think if one plays video games all day, that's a waste of time. But I think there is something to just chilling, relaxing, alpha wave state. There's different ways to get into an alpha wave state. I'm kind of diverging here, but not everything is a waste of time that on the surface may look like it. But we need to take care of our time to be stewards. And so Yeshua said, we're finishing up here, If any man walks in the light in the day, he stumbles not because he sees the light of this world. Yeshua is the light of this world. We who are in him are the light of the world. How do I know that? Because he told me so. We need to let our light shine. We need to guard that light. We need to think about that light. We need to think about our time. Let's pray.